Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today. We have Jeff Breier, and he's the Chief Operating Officer with a company that's kind of an interesting company. It's called HardCarSecurity, and they've got the website, HardCarSecurity.com. Jeff, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks, John. How are you?
Very good. Now, you guys are located out in California, and you do these security vehicles. Now, when people typically think of like an armored car or a security vehicle, they think of these gigantic big trucks. I'm looking at a picture of some of the ones you guys have. They're certainly big, but they're not like the big giant box trucks. It's more of like a utility van, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. It's the Ford T250 transit vans have been upfitted with ballistic armoring, both steel and Kevlar, all the way around, including the floor. So we're very fortified when we're going down the road.
Now, when people are listening to this, thinking, okay, a security vehicle like this, what is being transferred? It's kind of an interesting thing because you guys transfer money is one of the things that you would transfer, but there's also in the cannabis market, you've got some clients there that utilize them to transfer other things too, don't you?
Yeah, that's correct. We're currently focusing decades of asset protection experience. Both myself and my partner, Todd Klepperis, out of Florida, are taking all of our years of experience and just pointing it to the cannabis industry. And mainly because in the beginning, when we were, thinking of doing an armored car service, we were looking at, high value assets, jewelry shows, where they bring in, high value jewelry, gems, watches, gold, cash. And then all of a sudden we got a bunch of calls from the cannabis industry. So he and I spoke, and it just made sense, and we saw how we can do it legally within each state with permits that currently exist. And so we pulled that trigger, and now we are almost 100% with cannabis customers at this point in the beginning stages of our company.
Now, a lot of people, when they start talking about that market, they think of places like Colorado, but you guys are actually in California. Why are you in California rather than Colorado?
Well, because California represents probably 4 or 5 Colorados when it comes to total volume of calls for service. And also, we believe very strongly that since California was the first state to adopt and accept laws in the medical marijuana cannabis industry, it really requires a lot of professional and corporate-minded people to help steer all the regulations and help steer this new cannabis industry the right way and keep out, the persons that might not understand how to take this to that level. Because, they've just been under the radar and in the background for all these years, So that's really why we're in California. It just made sense to begin this company there. And we're also starting an office in Sarasota, Florida, here shortly.
That is absolutely awesome. Now, one of the things that I really like as I was reading up about your company to get ready for this interview is the importance that you guys place on veterans when it comes to bringing people on board. Now, why is it that you have such a great focus on veterans at your company there?
Actually, to be honest with you, our main core mission is to hire as many veterans as humanly possible. Uniquely, it makes sense because I see our veterans as a neglected demographic of our society. So why not, take all of their experience and all of their security professional, things they've been doing overseas, protecting, our country, and just point them to an industry that they're already familiar with. They have embraced it in many ways. Cannabis has shown to help our vets, get through some tough times, and at the same time, they're already like 100% qualified to do asset protection. So it just made sense on every level. So we've really made that our core mission, is to hire as many vets as possible.
Again, our guest right now, we're visiting with the Chief Operating Officer of a company called HardCarSecurity. It's Jeff Breier. Now, in addition to the fact that we've got the vets that work there, your background is pretty impressive as well in law enforcement and corporate security and security training. How long have you been working in that field?
17 years after I retired as a police officer. And it's mostly been in South America and Mexico because that's really where some of the threat levels have been high enough to justify bringing in an American and paying him an American salary, but doing business, south of the border. So that's where most of my experience has been. I've been very lucky to work for Fortune 500 companies such as Sony, Toyota, and Bridgestone, Firestone, FedEx, AOL, you name it. I've taken executives all over South America and Mexico safely to all their meetings in armored vehicles, and had a great career for 17 years as an executive protection agent, and also as a corporate security manager. Managing 300 security guards and making sure that nothing gets stolen out of the plant that we're working at. So that's a challenge right there, especially in Mexico.
Again, the company is called HardCarSecurity. If there are maybe veterans or former police officers listening that are maybe thinking of a career with your company, how would they go about getting a hold of you for something like that?
The best way is to visit our website at HardCarSecurity.com, and on the last tab, there's a quick form. You just fill it out and click send, and both myself and Todd will receive that message, and we'll reach right back out to you and get you on the email thread and ask for your resume and put you in our database. And based on where you're located and your interest level, we'll try to get you a position and get you working as soon as possible. There are some requirements, but they're very easy to obtain. And these are state requirements under certain state regulatory permits that are required, to join our team. But we can help you get all of that, point you in the right direction. And so that's really the best way.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to chat with us today, Jeff.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure. Anytime. We appreciate it.
And I think it's really cool that you guys are doing what you're doing, and it's awesome that you're focusing on hiring veterans. That's something that's near and dear to my heart as well. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, not only for your service to our country as a police officer, because there's so many people that forget about the guys on the front line here in this country. So thank you for doing that for all those years, but also thank you for hiring veterans and giving them a bright future as well.
Well, you're very welcome, and much appreciated your kind words. It's very sincerely taken. Thank you so much, John.
And folks, if you'd like to know more, I'll give you that website again. It's really simple. It's HardCarSecurity.com. Again, HardCarSecurity.com. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.